The first thing that we saw was we should view all Atmas are equals. Now Bhagavan is viewing all Atmas are equals. He does not differentiate based on their birth or wealth. Name dveshyosti na priyaha. All he sees is, do you have a desire to attain mukti? Do you have a desire to perform kainkaryam or service to me? This is all that he expects. He does not expect anything else. This is why he is called Samoham Sarvabhuteshu. Similarly, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Nyatva Shanti Mritchati. In another verse, Gita says, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Suhrit. Hrit means manas, mind. Suhrit means he has a positive mind. He has a conducive mind towards everyone. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. He does not wish some people to be destroyed or some people to be ruined. He does not want some people to live a very prosperous life. He is Suhrit to everyone. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. He wishes well towards everyone. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Nyatva Shanti Mritchati. Kurattalvan says, Srinidhim Nidhim Aparam Arthinam Arthitartha Paridana Dikshitam Sarvabhuta Suhridam Dayanidhim Devarajam Adhirajam Ashraye. In his Varadaraja Stavam, when talking about Kanchipuram Varadaraja Perumal, what Kurattalvan says is, Srinidhim Nidhim Aparam Arthinam. Whoever comes to him and asks for any boon, Lord Varadaraja grants it. Arthitartha Paridana Dikshitam. Varadaraja has taken a vow. Whatever one may ask of him, any boon you ask of him, he will definitely grant it to you. Arthitartha Paridana Dikshitam Sarvabhuta Suhridam. He has a conducive mindset. He wishes well for everyone in this world. So he treats everyone equally. He does not differentiate based on any of our materialistic qualities. We might be born in some family, we might be tall or short, we might be pale or dark in complexion, we might be wealthy or without any money, we might be literate or illiterate. He does not care. All he sees is, do we have bhakti or not? That is what he meant when he said, Samoham Sarvabhuteshu, Sarvabhuta Suhridam Dayanidhim. This is why Bhagavan is likened to a cloud. We say Neelameghashyam in many places, Minnumam Adaithavadum Meghavanna. Alvar in one verse says, Meghavanna. You have the color of a cloud. Why is this? Why is Bhagavan compared to a cloud? A cloud does not see on whose head it is pouring water. It pours on hills, it pours in valleys, it pours on the heads of good people, it pours on the heads of bad people also. So it does not differentiate on which land it is pouring the rain on. It pours in all places alike. Similarly, Bhagavan is filled with karunyam. He has compassion. He pours that compassion upon everyone without differentiation. He does not think that this is a high place. Let me give my compassion here, I will get a lot of returns from them. This person is a pauper. Let me not pour my compassion to him. He cannot do anything for me in return. Bhagavan never thinks in this way. Be it a pauper or a wealthy person, just like a cloud will rain in any place, be it a hill or a valley or the sea or land. Similarly, Bhagavan pours his compassion on everyone. That is why he is likened to a storm cloud. So, Minnumam Adaithavadum Meghavanna. That shows his samata. He considers everyone equally. Swami Ramanuja in his Gadyatrayam says, Analochita Vishesha Ashesha Loka Sharanya. Analochita Vishesham. Alochana means considering something, pondering over something without investigating the merits of a person. Analochita Vishesha. Vishesha means the uniqueness, the whatever good is there in a person. Analochita Vishesha Ashesha Loka Sharanya. He is Sharanya to everyone. He is the abode. He is our only surrender for everyone. However, he does not investigate whether we have good or bad in us. Analochita Vishesha Ashesha Loka Sharanya. This is what Swami Ramanuja says. Even Vibhishana in Ramayana says, Nivedayata Mam Kshipram Vibhishanam Upasthitam Sarvaloka Sharanyaya Raghavaya Mahatmane. Raghava is the only person. Rama is the only person to whom anyone in this world can surrender to. Sarva Loka Sharanya. Sharanam means surrendering to someone. Sharanya is the person who is surrendered to. I am the person performing Sharanagati. Sharanagati is an act. The person to whom I perform Sharanagati is called Sharanya. So Sri Rama is called Sarvaloka Sharanya. He is the only one to whom any person can surrender to. Be it Vibhishana or even Ravana. Even if Ravana had come to Rama, fallen at his feet, given Sita back to Rama and asked forgiveness, Rama would have forgotten all his sins. He already said that, Yadiva Ravana Swayam, if Sugriva has come to surrender to me, I am happy. If Ravana himself has come to surrender to me, I am ecstatic, because if Ravana comes and surrenders to me, the whole Asura Jati is going to live. All the Rakshasas need not die a waste death in battle. They can all live a happy life. So, whatever be our sins, Bhagavan is willing to accept us. That is why he is called Analochita Vishesha Ashesha Loka Sharanya. So, he is common to all of us. He views all Jivatmas as equals. He does not differentiate based on our education or birth or wealth or anything. He only sees the bhakti in it. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupakhatam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Krishna does not say you have to buy garlands for 1 lakh rupees and offer to me, only that will please me. He does not say you have to buy tens of kilograms of mangoes and offer to me. You can even offer a banana. You can even offer a small piece of garland. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Patram means just a leaf. Pushpam is a flower. Phalam is a fruit. Toyam is water. You need not have some Ganga Jalam or water from the Yamuna. Any water that you find, you can offer to Bhagavan. Yome bhaktya prayachati. Bhagavan only investigates whether it has been given with bhakti or without bhakti. That is all he is concerned with. Yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupakhritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If that entity, whatever object you are giving me is drenched in bhakti, then I accept it with wholeheartedly. So I do not differentiate based on who you are or what the value of that object that you are giving is. All I see is whether that object is drenched in bhakti. Therefore, this is how Bhagavan sees us equally. Jivatmas are all equal. Jivatma and Paramatma are also equal. These two, first we saw how we should think about it. We should consider all Jivatmas are equal because we are all made of Jnanam. We are all body of Paramatma. We are all servants of Paramatma. Then we should consider ourselves and Paramatma as equal because the Upanishads say there are 8 qualities which are common to us and Paramatma. Upanishads also say our happiness when we reach Mukti is going to be at par with the happiness of Brahman. So this is from our viewpoint, how we should view all Jivatmas, how we should view Jivatma and Paramatma as equal. Then the third thing that we saw was how Paramatma views all Jivatmas as equals. He does not differentiate based on our education or anything. He only considers our bhakti. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosti na priyaha. Now the final thing that we have to consider is how Bhagavan considers Jivatma and Paramatma as equals. Till now we have seen how we should consider Jivatmas as equal. We should consider Jivatma and Paramatma as equals. How Bhagavan considers all Jivatmas as equals. The final thing that we should study now is how Paramatma considers Jivatma and Paramatma as equal. He says, Priyo hi jnaninaha atyarthamaham sachamama priyaha jnanitu atmaiva me matam. When describing about his bhaktas, his devotees, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Udara sarvayevaite jnanitu atmaiva me matam. Jnani, one who has understood Brahman completely, one who has a lot of devotion towards Brahman, that person is my Atma. Till now what have we seen? Jivatma is the body, Paramatma resides within Jivatma. Therefore, Paramatma is our Atma. We are the Atma that is present inside this body made of flesh. Then within this Jivatma, Paramatma resides as an Atma. Now what Krishna is saying is, I am not the Atma of a Bhakta. Bhakta is my Atma, because without an Atma, the body cannot stand. Once this Atma leaves this body cannot stand anymore, it is going to fall on the ground. Similarly, Krishna says, without my devotees, I cannot survive. My devotee is what keeps me alive. Therefore, Jnani to Atmaiva me matam. That Jnani is considered to be my Atma. So, this is how he is considering Jivatma and Paramatma are equal. Usually what the Vedas says is, Paramatma sustains this whole world. He resides within everything in this world. But what Krishna here says is, I do not sustain my bhaktas. My bhaktas sustain me. Their devotion is what is sustaining me. Therefore, Jnani to Atmaiva me matam. Similarly, Udara Sarva Evaite. Krishna says, all his devotees are equal to him because they are very benevolent. Audaryam, Udarata means benevolence. So, all devotees of Bhagavan are very benevolent, have lot of compassion, and so I, Paramatma, and my bhaktas, the Jivatmas, are equal. This is what Krishna says. Similarly, in another verse, Krishna says, Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. When there is a devotee who performs bhakti to me without considering anything else in mind, he does not wish any fruits from in this world. He does not want to get a house. He does not want to grow his business. All he wants is to reach me. When there is such a bhakta, ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. Krishna says, I consider them as my equals, or in fact, they can consider me to be their equals. I consider them to be higher than me. Mayite teshu chapyaham. I consider them as souls who are more supreme than me. They can also consider themselves equal to me. So, Mayite teshu chapyaham. This is how Paramatma, Bhagavan Lord Krishna says, Paramatma and Jivatma are similar. Similarly, in another place, you can also see this. Bhaktir ashtavidha hyesha yasmin mlechepi vartate tasmai deyam tatograhyam sacha pujyaha yathahyaham. This is a verse from Varaha Purana. Here, Bhagavan says, there are 8 types of bhakti. Whenever one has these 8 types of bhakti, whenever someone is that devoted, then sacha pujyaha yathahyaham. He is to be considered equal to me. He is also pujyaha. You should perform puja, all your prayers to him also, at least to the extent that you would do to me. He does not say that I am supreme, next to me are my devotees. He says when there is a devotee who has unfaltering bhakti towards me, then he is more supreme than me. You should pray to me. In fact, you should pray even more to him. Sacha pujyaha yathahyaham. Just as I am to be considered, he should also be considered in the same way. If you do puja to me, you should also do puja to him. So this is what Shri Krishna says. All these pramanams show that Paramatma himself considers Jivatmas and Paramatma are equal. So we have seen 2 viewpoints. From the viewpoint of Jivatma, all Jivatmas are equal. From the viewpoint of Jivatma, Jivatma and Paramatma are equal because we have 8 attributes in common. Similarly, from the viewpoint of Paramatma, all Jivatmas are equal because he does not favor anyone, he does not dislike anyone based on their birth or their education. So he is common to all. He samoham sarvabhuteshu. This is what Lord Krishna said. Similarly, from the viewpoint of Paramatma, Jivatma and Paramatma are same. Not all Jivatmas, but one who is devoted to Bhagavan is equal to Bhagavan. This is what Lord Krishna says. This is what Varaha also says in Varaha Purana. Therefore, this is the equality that is preached by the Vedas. Vedas, where Upanishads say all Jivatmas are equal, Jivatma and Paramatma are equal. This is how Paramatma is treating you. Paramatma does not differentiate between Jivatmas. Paramatma does not differentiate between Jivatma and himself. Therefore, how can we differentiate? I cannot judge someone else. I cannot say he has committed a sin. I cannot say he is a good person. I cannot say he is wrong. I cannot judge someone like that. All we should see is we are all equal. We are all made of knowledge. We are all the body of Paramatma. We are all servants of Paramatma. So this is equality. When we said Samoham Sarvabhuteshu, there is one Divyadesham in Kerala Divyadeshams that exhibits this. You would have heard of Thiruvananthapuram, Ananta Padmanabha Swami. There are 3 doors through which you can have darshan of Bhagavan. There is one door for the head, one for the Nabhi, and one for the Tiruvadi, his lotus feet. There are 3 doors. You can stand at each door and have darshan of Bhagavan. Alvar asks, why are there 3 doors? The first door near Bhagavan's face is for Nitya Suris to come and perform service to him and to enjoy him. Nitya Suris are Vishwaksena, Garuda, Ananta, etc., who are in Sri Vaikuntham. They have never taken birth in this world. They have always been liberated souls. They are called Nitya Siddharhal, Nitya Surayaha. So, those Vishwaksena, Ananta, Garuda, etc., when they come to Thiruvananthapuram, they stand in front of the first door and have darshan of the face of Lord Sriman Narayana. Next, the Nabhi area, the central navel area, Brahma, Rindra, Rudra, etc. All the devas who are in this world can come to that central door and have darshan of Bhagavan and his navel lotus and his chest area. So that the middle gate is for all the devatas. The last door, which is near his feet, is for samsaris like us, jivatmas like us, who have come to perform surrender to him. When Alvar describes that, he says, Amararai Tirihinnar Hatku, Adisher Anandapurattu, Amararhon Archikkin, Angahappani Shaivar Vinnor. Alvar, Swami Nammalvar, has written 10 songs about Thiruvananthapuram. It starts with Kedumidaraya Vellam Keshavayanna. In one of those songs, he says, Amararai Tirihinnar Hatku Adi. Amarar means devas. So Amararai Tirihinnar Hatku Adi. He is the master of all devas. So devas come to him. They stand in front of the middle door and have his darshan. Then Amarar Kon Archikkin Ang Ahappani Shaivar Vinnor. Amarar Kon. Now Amarar means Nitya Surihal. The people who have always been in Sri Vaikuntham like Vishwaksena, Ananta and Garuda. Amarar Kon, the leader of those Nitya Suris is Vishwaksena. Amarar Kon Archikkin Anga Ahappani Shaivar Vinnor. Vishwaksena is doing puja to Bhagavan Ananta Padmanabha Swami. Then all other Nitya Suris are performing some service there. Ahappani Shaivar Vinnor. Ahappani means some kainkaryam in that inner sanctum. Therefore, Ahappani Shaivar Vinnor. So, in this verse, he said, all the devas come here to take darshan of Ananta Padmanabha. Similarly, Vishwaksena and all his followers come to Thiruvananthapuram to have darshan of Ananta Padmanabha. Then finally he says, Padamudai Aravil Palli, Payinnavan Padam Kana, Nadamino Namarhalullir Namumak Kariyachonnom. He instructs all of us to walk to Thiruvananthapuram today. Nadamino Namarhalullir. If you consider yourself to be a follower of Swami Nammalvar, then start today, go to Thiruvananthapuram and perform service to him. Padavudai Aravil Palli Payinnavan Padam Kana. Go have darshan of his feet. So for people like us, Alvar says, Bhagavan shows his feet from the third door. For the Nitya Suris, Bhagavan shows his face through the first door. For Devatas, Bhagavan shows his Nabhi through the central door. So there are 3 doors. For 3 people, he is equal. He is common to all of us. So here he shows Samyam. In this Divyadesham called Thiruvananthapuram, Ananta Padmanabha Swami exhibits this quality called Samyam, equality. He is for everyone. He does not differentiate between Nitya Suris, Devatas and normal samsaris like us. He gives darshan, grants darshan to everyone to 3 different doors. So this is where we can see the Samyam of Bhagavan. So in this much we have seen equality as expounded by the Upanishads. However, there is a problem with equality. I will just explain that one more concept and complete this lecture. Equality means I act in the same way towards everyone. However, this might not work out all the time. Suppose there is a fence which is 5 feet high. There are 3 people. One of them is 1 foot tall. The second one is 3 feet tall. The third one is 5 feet tall. Now the third person can look over the fence without any help. He need not be assisted to look over the fence. The fence is 5 feet high. This person is also 5 feet tall. He can look across. The person who is 3 feet tall needs some support, some block beneath him which is at least 2 feet high. So I give him a 2-foot chair over which he can stand and look over the fence. The third person was just 1 foot tall. He requires a stool or a chair which is 4 feet high. If I am just equal, I am common to everyone, and I say I will act equally to everybody, then what I will do? I will give a 2-foot chair to the 5-foot tall person, a 2-foot chair to the 3 feet tall person, a 2-foot chair to the 1-foot tall person. Is this useful? The 5-foot tall person does not need a chair at all. The 1-foot tall person, even if he has a chair which is 2 feet high, cannot see over the fence. So equality does not work when people have different capabilities to start with. Only if all the people are equal, their capabilities, their power, their intellect is equal, then I can be equal to all of them. If there is some difference between people in their capabilities, then equality does not work always. That is when something called equity comes into play. Equity is fairness. It's the same 3 people. One is 5 feet high, the second one is 3 feet high, the third one is 1 foot high. What should I have done? The 5-foot tall person does not need any chair. I don't give him anything. The person who is 3 feet tall, I should have given a chair that is 2 feet high so that he can look over the fence. The third person is just 1 foot tall, so I should have given a chair that is 4 feet high. Only using that can he view across the fence. Therefore, I am not equal now. The chair that I gave to the second person is just 2 feet high. The first person did not get any chair. The third person got a chair that is 4 feet high. So I have not been equal, but I have been fair. So this is the concept of fairness or equity. So Bhagavan follows this equity also. He is not always equal, he also is fair. This is shown in the popular verse, Dhyayan Krite Yajan Yajnaihi Tretayam Dwapare Archayan Yadapnoti Tadapnoti Kalau Sankirtya Keshavam. What this verse says is, in Krita Yuga, there are 4 yugas, Krita, Treta, Dwapara and Kali. In Krita Yuga, people had to perform lot of yajnas, or they had to do meditation a lot. Dhyayan Krite. In Krita Yuga, the primary means of salvation, the upaya by which you can attain salvation was meditation, dhyanam. Then in Treta Yuga, Krita was the first one. Treta Yuga, it was yajanam. You had to perform a lot of Vedic rituals. You had to perform yajnas. Dhyayan Krite Yajan Yajnaihi Tretayam Dwapare Archayan. In Dwapara Yuga, people could not do meditation for a long time. Their intellect had reduced, their concentration has reduced. They could not perform a lot of Vedic rituals also. So Bhagavan converted the means. He says, do archanam. Dwapare Archayan. In Dwapara Yuga, you can perform Archanam to Bhagavan, that is enough. Finally, in Kali Yuga, Yadapnoti Tadapnoti Kalau Sankirtya Keshavam. Whatever mukti was attained by people in Krita Yuga by doing meditation, the same mukti was attained by people in Treta Yuga by doing yajnas. That same mukti was attained by people in Dwapara Yuga by doing just Archanam. In Kali Yuga, we can just do Nama Sankirtanam. Yadapnoti Tadapnoti Kalau Sankirtya Keshavam. This Pramanam says, if you keep doing Nama Sankirtanam, that will fetch you mukti. Now, this is not equality. If Bhagavan was equal, whether we were in Krita Yuga or Treta Yuga or Dwapara Yuga or Kali Yuga, he should have said, you should do meditation, you can come reach me in Srivaikuntham, or you have to perform all Vedic rituals to come reach me. He did not say so. He left his equality and grabbed the concept of equity or fairness. What he said was, in Krita Yuga, people have a lot of concentration. They are able to control their senses. So, let them perform meditation and come reach me. In Treta Yuga, they cannot control their senses. Let them perform yajna and come reach me. In Dwapara Yuga, they cannot accumulate enough knowledge to do yajna even. Even to do yaga, we should study all the Vedas, understand their meaning, find out how to perform rituals, have the correct discipline, achara, etc. and do a yajna. This was not possible in Dwapara Yuga itself. So Krishna said, you do archanam alone. In Kali Yuga, even archanam is hard for us to do. He said, do nama sankirtanam alone. So to us who are just 1 foot tall, he gave a 4 foot tall chair. To Dwapara Yuga people, he gave a 3 feet tall chair. To people in Treta Yuga, he gave a 1 foot tall chair. To people in Krita Yuga, he did not give any chair. Therefore, he did not treat us equally. He treated us fairly. So this is another concept. What we saw about the Upanishads preaching about equality is all valid. All Jivatmas by nature are equal. Jivatma and Paramatma by nature are similar in 8 attributes. Bhagavan is equal to all Jivatmas in that anyone can come to him and surrender at his feet. Similarly, Bhagavan considers Jivatma and Paramatma to be equal. He says you should do prayer to Jivatma also, to a Bhakta also. All these points are valid. However, earlier we saw that Jivatma, if you remove his body, if you remove him from the samsara, then all Jivatmas are equal. But right now we are still in this samsara. So if Bhagavan said, all of you are equal, so all of you do meditation and come reach me, we will not be able to do it. So what Bhagavan does is, he is fair to us. We have only limited knowledge. We have only 100 years to live. People in Krita Yuga and Treta Yuga lived for 60,000, 100,000 years. We don't have such a long life. We don't have enough knowledge. We do not have the concentration to control our senses. So he makes the upayam easier. He said the first yuga people have to do meditation. In the second yuga you can't do meditation, you do yajna. In the third yuga you can't perform yajna also, you can do archanam. In the fourth yuga you are not able to do archanam also, do nama sankirtanam. So this concept of fairness is called equity. Bhagavan shows this also. So he says equality and equity, both of these are shown by Bhagavan. Andal in her final verse also shows this. Vanga kadal kadainda madhavanai keshavanai, tingal tirumuhattu cheyidayar shenniranji, anga parakonda vaattai, Anipuduvai Paingamala Tanteriyal Pattarbiran Kodeshonna, Shangattamil Malai Muppadum Tappame Ingi Parishuraipar, Irirendu Malvarethol, Shengan Tirumahattu Chelva Tirumalal, Yengum Tiruvarul Petri Inburuvar. This is the final verse of Andal's Tirupavai. You have to split this verse into 4 portions. The first one is Vanga Kadal Hadainda Madhavanai Keshavanai, Tingal Tirumahattu Cheyidayar Shenni Iranji, Angu Apparakonda Archai. So the first thing was happened was, in Dwapara Yuga, in Gokulam, a lot of Gopikas got together, performed a vratam, Katyayini vratam, and wanted to get Bhagavan Lord Krishna as their husband. So this was the first activity. All Gopikas in Gokulam in Dwapara Yuga came together and performed this Hemanta Rutu vratam, Marhadi Nonbu, this Katyayini vratam. Next, Andal, who was born in Kali Yuga, is imitating this Anukara. So she thinks of herself as a cowherd maid, as a cow maiden. Therefore, she is a Gopika now. She considers all her friends as Gopikas, and she is now going to Lord Krishna to perform service to him. So she is only considering it. She is imitating the Gopikas. She did not perform surrender in Dwapara Yuga. She is in Kali Yuga now. She is doing only Anukara. Next, we are living today. We did not go to Krishna in Dwapara Yuga. We did not join Andal and imitate the Gopikas also. What we are doing now is, we are reading Tirupavai and understanding its meaning. So there are 3 people here. The Gopikas who performed the Vratam in Dwapara Yuga. Andal who imitated it in the beginning of Kali Yuga. Then people like us today who are living in this world and just learning Tiruppavai. So these three people are spoken about in this verse. Tingal Tirumahattu Chezhayar Senniranji Andru Apparai Varu. This is the Gopika Stris going to Bhagavan and getting his service. Annu Apparai Aatrai Anipuduvai Painkamala Tan Theriyal Pattarpiran Kodai Sonna. Vishnu Chitta Pattarpiran is Periyalvar. Andal was the daughter of Periyalvar. What Andal did was, she imitated the Gopikas. She imagined herself to be a Gopika and all her friends also as other Gopikas. He imagined Vatapatrashayi, Vataperankoyiludayan of Srivilliputtur to be Krishna himself, and she went and prayed to him. She performed surrender at his lotus feet. So the second person was Andal, who only imitated. She did not perform the vratam like the Gopikas. She only imitated. Now we who live today, Anga Parehonda Vachai, Anipuduvai Paingamala Tanderiyal Pattarpiran Kodeshonna. This is the second half. Then, Sonna Sangat Tamil Malai Muppadum Tappame, Ingu Ipparishu Uraipar. What we are doing is, we are only chanting Tiruppavai today. We did not perform the vratam with Gopikas. We did not imitate the vratam with Andal. We are only doing Anusandhanam, Abhyasam of Tiruppavai. Now she says, Ipparisuraippar, Irirandu Malvaraithol Shengan Tirumahattu Chelva Tirumalal, Yengum Tiruvarul Petri Inburuvar. Anyone, be it the Gopikas, or be it Andal, or be it today the people, us, who are just learning this Tiruppavai, we will all get the blessings of Bhagavan and we will be happy. Chelva Tirumalal, Yengum Tiruvarul Petri Inburuvar. We will get the anugraham of Bhagavan and we will have a happy life. So this fruit or the result is common to all three. Gopikas performed vratam, they got Bhagavan's anugraham. Andal imitated the vratam, she got Bhagavan's anugraham. We are just reading Tiruppavai, we will also get the same anugraham and compassion from Bhagavan. Therefore, we might be different, but Bhagavan is fair to us. We do not have enough bhakti to do a vratam towards Bhagavan now. We do not have enough bhakti like Andal to imitate the vratam. What we can do is, we can only read this, but Bhagavan considers all three acts as equal. Whether you perform the vratam, or you imitate the vratam, or you just recite Tiruppavai, he says, I will give you the same fruit to all these three people. So this is his equity, this is his fairness. So Bhagavan is equal to everyone and he also is fair to everyone. This is how the Upanishads explain the concept of equality. All Jivatmas are equal because they are made of Jnanam. They are all the body of Paramatma. They are all the servants of Paramatma. Next, Paramatma and Jivatma are similar because there are 8 attributes that is common to both of them. Next, Paramatma considers all Jivatmas as equal because he does not favor anyone or dislike anyone based on their individual education or birth or anything. He only considers their bhakti. Next, Paramatma considers Jivatmas as equal to him. He says a devotee of mine should be revered just like you would revere me. So this is the equality that the Upanishads talk about. This equality is only when is in paper. When I say it is in paper, it is not present today. We can view ourselves and Paramatma as equal. Paramatma always considers us as equal. But today the situation is, we are not all equal. We have taken different births. We have different lives, we have different behaviors, different discipline. All these differences come in based on karma. Naturally, left to itself, all Jivatmas are similar. You cannot differentiate between two Jivatmas. But we are not left alone. We are not in isolation. We are present within this samsara. Therefore, all these differences, bodily differences, differences in behavior, differences in knowledge, differences in our sattvam, rajas or tamas, all these come in because of our association with karma and our association with this samsara. So that is the next concept that we should understand. First, we should all understand that all atmas are equal. So all of us have an equal right to attain liberation. It is not that salvation is the belonging of some certain people alone. Salvation or mukti is common to all because we are all equal. This is what we have seen today. However, we are not all seen to be equal today. When we see at this world, we see a lot of differences. So next we need to understand why these differences came up and how we should remove these differences. This has to do with the concept of karma, which we will see tomorrow using the Brahma Sutras. So karma and redemption from the Brahma Sutras is our topic for tomorrow. So we have learned about equality today. We will learn how Atmas who are so similar or such equals have come to be so different. This is what is done by our karma. So that karma and how we can get rid of it and reach the lotus feet of Bhagavan will be our topic for tomorrow. So I invite you all to join me tomorrow to see the next topic in this series. Srimate Ramyajamatri Munindraya Mahatmane Srirangavasine Bhuyat Nityashrir Nityamangalam.